Good morning and welcome to Wake Up to Broker Up with Mark, episode number 15 for 2026. Ever had a buyer that needed to figure something out about a specific property? Say they needed to figure out whether it was going to be suitable for what they wanted to use it for? And so the buyer does all the research necessary to figure out if they can do what they want to do. Meanwhile, somebody else comes along and swoops up and buys the property, goes under contract before the buyer finishes up what would be their due diligence. Ever had that happen? We know the general contingencies. In other words, we know the finance contingency, the appraisal contingency, sale or lease of buyer's property contingency. But what about general contingencies? What about if the buyer wants to put a pool in? Saw this on Rocks this week. Buyer wants to put a pool in, doesn't know whether they can or can't, based on the topography, based on any number of reasons as it relates to the property. Meanwhile, the buyer's trying to figure it all out. Will the property wait? Will someone else not come and swoop in and buy that property? Probably not in today's market, but in general, while the buyer tries to figure it out. There is a general contingency form in the GAR forms package that allows you to create a contingency based on whatever it is that the buyer needs. So in this case, if the buyer wants to put a pool in, you make the agreement contingent upon the buyer being able to put the pool in to own the property. It's really simple. Contingencies. You got to tie the property up if you're representing the buyer. Give the buyer time after they go under contract to make sure that the property is suitable for what they want to do. Want to put in a garage, want to put in a shed of some sort near the property line, want to put in a pool, want to do an addition, any number of things that the buyer might want to do to the property, and the buyer needs to determine whether or not the property is suitable to the buyer. It could be an HOA issue. Any of those things, there is a general contingency exhibit provided by GAR. In addition to that, there are also GAR special steps that deal with contingencies that you can extract from the special contingencies. Wow, I get it. Special stipulations, and do it that way. You can also lean on your brokers to help you with special stipulations or with contingencies as it relates to the buyer. If you're representing the buyer, tie the property up while the buyer is doing their research. Otherwise, the property could disappear. Flip side is, if you're representing the seller, you don't want the buyer to tie up a property specifically if they're looking for some contingency, because it may not work for the seller. Anyway, enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.